Very good afternoon to you and a warm welcome if you are just joining. Welcome to this special broadcast of the State of the Nation Address, the 2025 edition. In a few moments, we're going to take you to Cape Town to get an update on the latest there as we build up to the 7 p.m. hour. And these are live visuals coming from Cape Town. In a few, Vuyo Mvogo is going to tell us who his guest is. But before we get to Vuyo, I'm joined now by the former Social Development Minister, Lindiwe Zulu, who joins us from Cape Town this afternoon. Ms. Zulu, thank you very much for your time. Let's start with the planning. As a former cabinet minister, when the State of the Nation address is upon us, what usually is the planning around what the president will say? What would the different departments, how would they contribute to that speech?
Thank you very much, Xoli, for the opportunity. Yes, this is the process that starts not only just towards the State of the Nation. It's a process that starts quite a while back, where there are expectations from different departments to come and engage through the government processes as to what their plans are. But before we get there, because I'm a member of the African National Congress, obviously we start through the subcommittees of the National Executive Committee who talk about the state of the country, the state of the economy, the state of the people, and therefore what needs to be done. They then contribute towards the Lekgotla of the African National Congress, which therefore then feeds into the government Lekgotla. Then ultimately you have the State of the Nation addressed by the president. But having said that, from a government point of view, there is a sitting of cabinet where the ministers are expected to then contribute towards what the State of the Nation should contain, what are the priority issues in particular. And that's exactly where then the shuffling, the jostling here and there, my issues are more important than the other. Yeah. But cabinet does not allow some other ministers' issues to be more important than others. What the president and the deputy president is usually responsible for is to make sure that everyone contributes towards a plan and one plan.
Watching from outside the preparations in the lead up to this SONA 2025, would you say that that kind of thematic planning has been followed to the T, given that we have a new arrangement now, this government of national unity?
The good thing about South Africa is its institutions of governance, because the fact that you have a government of national unity does not change the process and systems of government. What changes, obviously, is different parties coming with different ideas towards the growth of the economy. I'm just making an example. Others coming and not agreeing to this or that. But the good thing is that we've got institutions of governance and we've got structures of government that were not dismantled or changed simply because we have a government of national unity. That is what safeguards South Africa in particular. The fact that we have the constitution, the fact that we've got processes within parliament, within the executive itself. Those processes, in my view, they cushion government in a way, and they also help the president in particular to keep order in that way, because very soon after this, there will be a discussion, by the way, which the president will be listening to other political parties in parliament. Others will be agreeing, others will be opposition, obviously disagreeing. Again, I think this is a good thing for South Africa to have built these institutions that protect the constitution, but most importantly, protect the people of South Africa.
Yeah, I'd like to then talking about this planning, because there has been much talk about the NHI and the reports suggesting that that particular piece of legislation has now somehow been amended purely based on two political parties talking together. Let's remember that the laws of this country are developed and passed through Parliament. I listened to the Minister of Health today who said, based on my experience, I have never heard of a law being changed purely based on two political parties talking together. What, to your understanding, is the new process around the NHI?
Well, look, the NHI is very important because the government, before even the government of national unity, the government of the African National Congress has always done its best to focus on the needs of the people, to address issues of poverty, of unemployment, and inequality. And I bring this issue of inequality here, particularly because those that do not have your medical aid, even those who have the medical aid, many at times there's always an increase on the medical aid. Many a times people's salaries have not been increased, and yet what they have to pay into the medical aid keeps on going up. So it's important for us to keep the NHI if our support for people who do not have your medical aid, if we want to have coverage for all South Africans, it's important that we have NHI. But when you then have the issues about whether we implement it now, and the president has already signed, whether we go back or not, we cannot go back on the NHI, especially because, again, remember I said we have institutions in South Africa. If the president has signed the NHI already, from a legal point of view and from a constitutional point of view, what does that mean? And my view is that the government of national unity signed and agreed on how they are going to work. So I just think sometimes it's not right for one particular party then to decide that they are going to come out and do their things in their own way, forgetting that there are 10 parties in the GNU. But Xoli, when all that is said and done, South Africa and South Africans who I know and have experienced through being a minister of social development, many of them find it very difficult to get assisted if they need medical aid and they don't have it. So the NHI has to be implemented. These things that are happening on the side still need to be ironed out if they need to be ironed out. But the president did sign off the NHI.
Yeah. Finally, let me take advantage of you being a former diplomat. There is the other pressing issue, and many observers are saying it may possibly overshadow this State of the Nation address. The nation is in mourning because we've lost 14 soldiers. Those remains are not in the country as yet, former minister. What do you know at the moment?
Well, look, I am not in government, and therefore I don't think I have the right to be speaking on the government processes. Safe to say that, yes, I agree with you. This is a very emotive issue. This is an issue that the South Africans are looking up to, and I'm 100% sure that the president will not finish his speech without addressing this issue, because many South Africans are waiting to be told, and the families obviously want to know when are their loved ones' remains coming back. Recall in the other interview, I did say to you and the viewers that this is a process and we must respect that process while at the same time appreciating the pain of the communities and the members of the families that have lost. I am sure that the president will calm the waters in that, will take into confidence South Africans as to what the process is. And by the way, there will also be a debate, as you know. The debates are also going to be interesting because I think the president will speak, and we expect, obviously, that the president will focus on the key issues that are concerning South Africans: jobs, economic development, infrastructure development. What is it that we're going to do? And then thereafter, there will be a discussion where ministers will have to be telling the nation what exactly are they going to do. But when this is all said and done, it is the president that has to bite the bullet and make sure that he brings everybody to account for each and everything, so that at the end of the day, the services that need to be given to our people, it is not promises. It must be implemented, and it must be tightly implemented so people can see the change.
Lindiwe Zulu, former Minister of Social Development, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. Thanks indeed. And on that very last point about the update on the process of repatriating the remains of the 14 South African soldiers who fell in the DRC. There is an update that has just landed, and it is from the South African National Defence Force. And a quick reminder that we were told earlier this week that by Wednesday, which was yesterday, the 5th of February, the remains would be repatriated to South Africa. So I'm going to go to the bottom of that statement and just read for you what it says. And I quote, "All administrative processes were completed and handed over to the United Nations. The United Nations planned movement for the repatriation of the deceased out of the conflict zone has been delayed." Close quote. So that's the latest, and that is that the remains of these fallen soldiers, including the injured, that repatriation process now has been delayed.